Hello, illustrious ones. It is I, your illustrious overseer here, and today we're going to talk about specifically why in Pokemon Go PvP, your favorite Pokemon sucks. Now, hold on before you start parading into a mob or trying to attack me out on the street. Let me explain. Keep in mind that as we're talking about all of this, this is mainly focusing on self-competitive tournaments. So that is any Pokemon that is 1500 CP and under, and Pokemon that are most commonly seen in the Silph Arena tournaments. Keep in mind that some of these Pokemon may actually work better in Ultra or Master League, such as Mewtwo, Groudon, Metagross, Rayquaza, etc. However, for the 1500 and lower CP mark, the balances between attack, defense, and HP are just different. First of all, some of your favorite Pokemon you remember playing through the original games, or maybe before Pokemon Go PvP even came out, you had ones that you loved, things that worked for you in raid battles, taking down gyms, etc. These Pokemon might have actually worked for you very well, simply for the fact that you just used them so much and you became attached to them. Maybe even in the core Pokemon series, you played with some of these, took them through all the way from the very beginning, where you started out in Pallet Town and then made it all the way to the Elite Four, playing the original Red and Blue version, or Red and Green if you're from Japan, because we can't get a nice green copy, I guess. I like Venusaur. You had your squad of 6. These were your favorites. These were the ones that you wanted to use. So you became very attached to them. You became attached to your Charizard, your Arcanine, your Articuno, your Mewtwo. Well, some of these Pokemon just simply don't work. Whether or not it's Generation 1 that you started out, or picked it up all the way in Pokemon Go. Some Pokemon just don't work. Imagine 3 of your favorite Pokemon that you want to take with you into battle. You want to take these Pokemon into Pokemon Go PvP, and you want to be champion there. You want to beat everybody. So you bring your Blaziken, your Metagross, your, Dunsparce. If you like those 3 Pokemon, forget about them. They don't work. You don't want Pokemon that have the greatest attack stat. No, what you're looking for is defensive Pokemon. Pokemon you never would have given 2 thoughts for back in the day. Think of 3 Pokemon that you would never even think about using. When you first encountered these Pokemon, there were Pokemon that you never would have thought would have been fantastic to have in Pokemon Go for PvP. Things like Medicham. Think about Medicham. I mean, what? What even is this thing? I get what he's supposed to represent, but what is that on his head? And what are these on the sides? Like, are they part of you? Is it a hat? Nobody likes you, except if you're playing Pokemon Go. Now, you would never bring this into a raid, but he's really, really good in Pokemon Go PvP because of the types of moves that he has. And not only that, but his Psychic Fighting typing works really well in Pokemon Go PvP. Medicham is ugly. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. If you like Medicham, cool. But we're going to focus on Pokemon that people typically like. Pokemon that people typically want to bring with them whenever they think Pokemon battles. Gyarados. Gyarados is a prime example of this. You bring Gyarados into Pokemon Go PvP, you're going to get wrecked. You will lose. And I'm here to explain to you why. The reason why a lot of Pokemon that were fan favorites in the core series games don't work in competitive Pokemon Go PvP, especially if you're playing in the Silph Arena. The thing about Pokemon Go PvP is that you need time to be able to figure out what you want to do. Time to be able to plan your next move. CP in Pokemon Go is what defines the Great, Ultra, and Master League divisions. Masters, you can bring any CP range, it doesn't matter. But for those caps, those ones where you want to get to as close as 1500 as possible, the problem with high attack Pokemon, they don't last long enough. And in the fast-paced environment of Pokemon Go PvP, you're going to lose. You have to consider the fact that Pokemon Go PvP is more of a mental game of chess. And if you don't have time to think about your moves, guess what? You're gonna get wrecked. Pokemon Go attack stats just don't play well in your favor in a game that's not turn-based combat. In Pokemon Go PvP, you have to think about whether or not you survive those hits. It's the adverse, it's flipped. So you go ahead and bring your Blaziken. You go ahead and bring your Gyarados, your Metagross, your Dunsparce. Again, nobody's going to bring Dunsparce. A perfect example of a Pokemon that was fairly usable, actually one of the top tier picks in one of the recent Sylph Leagues, was during the Kingdom Cup tournament. We had Lucario. Now the deal about Lucario is the fact that he was fairly squishy, but he had really decent moves and he worked well to counter a lot of Pokemon that would otherwise dominate the meta. He had access to Counter, Power Up Punch, and Shadow Ball. Those moves were on their own were actually really great to use. The reason why he may not actually be a top tier pick in more of an open league, like for example, for those that just completed their regional tournaments this month or have yet to potentially have them, he's just squishy. He has a decent attack stat. His steel and fighting typing give him some neutral matchups, and in some cases give him some resistances, but he crumples, he falls apart without shields. And that's one of the most important things. If your Pokemon has too much attack, it doesn't have enough defense to actually hold up. A really great example of this is Dugtrio. Dugtrio in a lot of scenarios packs a very, very good attack stat. However, its defense and HP leave it lacking. It's out on the field for like 2, maybe 3 seconds at most, and then it's gone. Dugtrio, I know. You're just a little sad pile on the floor, and nobody loves you. Anyways, however, not all is lost. There are some fan favorites that still work well in Pokemon Go PvP. Things like Charizard. Charizard, even though he's squishy, still can hold its own because of the moves that he has and because of the typing. Flying type is actually a great type to be in Pokemon Go PvP. So is fighting, so is dark. Just there's quite a few that still fit into those roles. So you can still bring some of your favorite Pokemon like Lucario, Charizard, Altaria. And if it wasn't for the fact that Medicham was so dang useful in Pokemon Go PvP, I would not have that on my team. Medicham, why do you exist? Just why? There are some Pokemon that you never would have considered, never would have thought to even bring with you into Pokemon Go battle. Those Pokemon are like Lantern, for example. Lantern is a very fantastic Pokemon in Pokemon Go PvP Great League. So is Whiscash, Tropius. These Pokemon were great to run through the main stories. But if you ever went to a Pokemon VGC tournament where you were either doing single battles, double battles, it doesn't matter. You didn't bring these Pokemon. And if you did, I guarantee you that most of you didn't top. So some of these Pokemon just didn't work. For some reason or another, they just weren't great picks. They work well and have amazing roles that they could fit in on your team in Pokemon Go PvP. specifically again in the Great League. But like I said before, if you're going to sit there and try to come at me with your Metagross or your Machamp or any of those other Pokemon that you oh so loved back in the day, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose hard. But that's it for me today, guys. If you want to see another Pokemon Go PvP video where I break down certain Pokemon that are actually really good to use in Pokemon Go PvP Great League, you can find them in the links below. And that'll take you to Pokemon Go Radio's YouTube channel. They're a fantastic podcast, and I'm going to start making more videos for them in the future. So, with that being said, stay illustrious, fam.